on today's episode of the Mick Tully Show. I'm actually really I'm overawed. First of all, I'm in Malta, and if you haven't been to Malta, this is my bit for the Maltese Tourist Board. Come to Malta, it's great. Would that work? Yeah, and it's warm. And in November, trust me, that's what we need, right? I'm with the one and only Lee Charles. Can't believe it. I've been following this guy for years, not just on Facebook, but you've been around for a long time competing as well. Yeah. And we'll touch on the competition in a bit, but thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
No. So, first of all, you're here competing.
Yep.
What? Any other reason you're here?
I come last year as a special guest, and they invited me back this year. So just to sort of like promote me acting side, and obviously my past achievements and stuff. But I come last year and sort of thought, I wouldn't mind just
one last hurrah.
Yeah, so it was 6 years ago that I retired, and I retired through circumstances that were sort of like forced upon me, so personal, we had a few personal reasons. The mental game wasn't really in it, and I just thought, my nan passed away a few months ago, and I thought I'll channel all my energies into getting back into the gym and just training and just have a little go and have a bit of fun. Yeah,
because we walked in through the door and it was like, it was very European is the best way we can say it. Because you trained to fight in a ring, right?
I did, yeah.
And then ended up fighting on jigsaw mats.
Yep.
Which weren't anchored down in any way, shape or form. So I was looking at it and I did feel for you. And if you haven't seen it, it will actually be on WMKF TV, and it was actually a great ding dong. Yeah. It was a good fight, but it was quite funny because there was 3 shots to the back of the head, one nut shot. Yeah. The referee was too scared really to get involved because there was 2 very large men. As I said, I always wanted to know where Tank Abbott went after UFC 7, and he moved to Spain, didn't he? By the looks of things, it was a bizarre fight. And what was going through your mind when you were?
You turn up for the event, and you sort of especially being on for the last 6 years. So I thought to myself, I'll see what I've got left in the tank. I turn 41 next month, and I just thought, I'll just give it another go and see where I've got. So you train specifically, and you have this specific agenda in your head of how you want to go. You have all your strategy and your training and everything else, and then you turn up and it's like on a mat. So obviously,
on a mat that's moving around.
You can't cut angles in. You can't. To be honest, in the end, that didn't really take anyway. It's sort of he hit me hard, so I wanted to hit him hard.
Yeah, you were hitting him back hard. Yeah.
So it just ended up being a bit of a scrappy fight. Excuse me. I didn't really. I just didn't find my game, and obviously, like you said, I took a few shots to the back of the head. Couldn't see after the first round, and
you told me that. You told me it was quite funny because in a good way for me, because obviously I was watching it. If I'd have been in there getting hit, I wouldn't have found it amusing at all. But I looked at it, and one stage I was thinking to myself, are they remaking Lionheart? You know the Van Damme movie where it's it's going to be in a squash court, and then it's going to be an empty swimming pool, and then it's going to be we're just going to circle a load of Rolls Royces and put the headlamps on, because it was just bizarre.
Yeah, so it's just unfortunate, through circumstance, they were let down with the ring and stuff, and obviously it would have been nice to know, but it sort of threw me off my game a little bit, and mentally I let it get to me more than what I should have. Once that happened, on top of the fact that he started trying to decapitate my head with every shot that he had.
There was some clubbing overhands, right?
I just thought to myself, do you know what? I'm just going to go down that avenue as well, and I should have played it a bit more clever than that.
Yeah, well, it was a good toe-to-toe battle. I liked it. It was one of those. As Bill the Butcher would say, you showed me a bit of sand. You know what I mean? It did. Good old dust up. No, it was actually good. We're going to start and just go back a little bit.
Yep.
How did you start in martial arts?
Do you know what? I do dinner talks and I say the same thing all the time. I was 4. And I watched The Big Boss. We all got round. My nan and granddad had a VHS recorder.
Like a suitcase?
Yeah. Just one of the first one, but obviously they were the first people to get the video player. So I remember everyone going. I was 4 or 5. Everyone going to my nan's, And we got 2 videos from the Jolly Roger video shop. You know the old video shops where you used to go in, it just smelled of that plastic VHS tape. It was, you know, you just don't
I
get
love
that.
the smell of VHS in the morning. It smells like rewind. Yeah. And there you are, Scorsese. Huh?
So we went.
Coppola. Sorry.
So we went to Milan's and we were there, and the first one that he put on was the big boss, Bruce Lee.
Wow.
He put the big boss on. And I was sick, you know, the bit where he goes like into the house and then everyone's dead on the floor and he slips on the blood.
Yeah.
But I was sick. But that began my obsession with Bruce Lee and wanting to be Chinese and pretending he was my uncle for many years because his name was Lee.
and this is where were you at the time? Around the Wirral?
So yeah, I was on the Wirral, yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah. Everyone else is getting like Mongoose BMXs for Christmas. I was getting Chinese kung fu suits with rubber nunchuckers on the inside. And
really?
Yeah.
Well, everyone else was Kenny Dalglish.
yeah. I was Bruce Lee.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you think about it, a Mandarin suit instead of a perm and a moustache. Come on. When you look back at your pictures now as a kid, okay, calm down.
I don't know. I
like,
had this big blonde curly bonnet thing going on. And I used to try and part it over, you know, because Bruce Lee used to part his hair. I'd like wet my curly hair and part it over.
And then what would happen? Boom, next straight thing back up again.
It just have a wave of kink across my bum.
What, you look more like Jim Kelly, like a big blonde afro. 9 years old, I'm too busy looking good, yeah? So what was the first style?
I did jiu-jitsu.
Japanese jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, Japanese jiu-jitsu. I started Japanese jiu-jitsu in the Bedlington Civic Hall.
Who was that with?
I can't remember.
It wasn't Bob Clark, was it? Because he's...
I can't remember. I was 5 at the time.
Oh,
anyway, I only went for a couple of months because I used to go with a lad that I went to school with, and his mum used to take us, and then that stopped. And obviously, you know, you got this obsession. And when I was a kid, there was no kung fu schools or kickboxing. No. There was nothing around, and the only schools that you could possibly really go to was karate.
Yeah.
So lo and behold, I took up karate, started Shotokan karate, and did that for a long time.
Who was that with?
Jeff and Diane Grimmer. It was I can't think of the old guy's name. It was Jeff and Diane Grimmer, but we were with Thames Karate.
Right.
I can't think of his name. His name's just gone out of my head. But yeah, I mean, you know,
you enjoyed the karate?
Yeah, I love the karate. So, do you know? I mean, it's weird because like even when I tell my students nowadays, you know, the way we used to train and the way we used to drill, you know, it was repetitive. And when you're a small child and you're doing the same thing, you sort of like, you know, it's sort of like, I'm not doing anything else. I'm not getting anywhere. And like back then, the syllabus was the syllabus. That was it. Yeah. You didn't come off. If you were go from white belt to your yellow belt or to your green belt or whatever it was, you were taught them specific moves for that specific belt.
Your kata, that was it.
Yeah, you weren't doing spin up kicks until you got to brown belt, black belt. So I mean, but that set the foundation for me for everything else.
And then that got you into kickboxing?
Yeah, well, I did the karate for many years, and even though I loved it, I found it really rigid.
Yeah.
With watching Bruce Lee and
it's
everything else.
And it's restrictive as well.
Yeah. And my dad's friend was Master Brian McKinney.
Right.
So obviously he gave me my first Bruce Lee. Well, I was always around at Master McKinney's house anyway. And then he opened up a school when I was about 14, 15. Like his first full-time school, full-time centre. And that's when I started doing wushu, Kempo karate, Chinese karate, which was basically just stick your gi on and kill each other. And then from there we just evolved into obviously the Sandan and the kickboxing and stuff.
Yeah, because it was I think Sandan was the first time I heard your name. Or I saw it in a magazine.
Oh, right.
And I think it was a Sandar Sandar competition or something.
Oh, it was the British Chinese martial arts thing.
Yeah, because someone said to me, because I'm showing my ignorance, someone would say, yeah, Sandar, it's like MMA. And I was like, no, it isn't. And then I saw it and I went, it's MMA. Yeah. And it was like these guys were just battering each other. Yeah. So we're gonna go forward now. You're now doing a lot of movies.
Yeah.
How did you get this?
Do you know, I mean, it's weird because for me, I just took a chance, really. I was going to America, but I booked a trip to America where I was going to go to LA, and obviously, to me, all the gyms are in LA. Everyone was training in LA at the time.
Yes.
You can't go to a street corner in LA without there being a dojo or whatever else there is there.
Yep.
And obviously Hollywood and all the rest of it. So LA. Then I was going to go to Vegas, see the MGM, and then I was shooting up to Seattle to pay my respects to Bruce Lee.
So I was in Seattle in 2008, and I was training there, and we went to like Bruce and Brandon's grave, and there was a guy there, and he was a huge Bruce Lee nut. And when we went, the guy was there, and he was like working, and he was cleaning away the grave and stuff, and he said, "Why are you here?" He heard my accent, and I said, "Well, pay my respects to Bruce Lee and Brandon Lee." "Oh, right, okay. Are you a Bruce Lee fan?" And I went, "Well, I'm not really a Bruce Lee fan, but I teach Jeet Kune Do." And he went, "You teach Jeet Kune Do?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then I told him that I was an instructor with Danny Santo, and then he was like, he was like an original Bruce Lee fan, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what when you went to, we'll just touch on the Seattle thing.
Yeah.
When you went there, what was it like?
For me, it was just that emotional, because obviously this is the guy that sort of like inspired me to go on to become who I've become.
Yeah.
So, and the weird thing was, when I was in LA, I'll go on it, touch on it in a minute, when I was training with Benny the Jet.
The man, Benny the Jet,
well,
right.
I had a phone call in the gym. We were sat in Benny's gym, and his wife came up to me, Sarah, and she was like, "Lee, there's a telephone call for you." It's like, I'm in Hollywood. Who's calling me on the phone? So we got on the phone, and they were like, I was like, "Hello?" And she was like, "Hi, Lee, it's Shannon."
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
And she said to me, she goes, "I believe you're going on to pay your respects to my dad and my brother. We've just put a bench down. It's like a marble bench in front of the grave. Feel free to sit on it when you're paying your respects and stuff. And I'd like to thank you. It's people like you that keep my dad's legacy alive." And so I just remember being on the phone. I was like,
wow.
So yeah, it was just, it was a...
Yeah, because it's mad, because I use this all the time, because when people say I'm too old to train, or no, it's too late now, and I always say, listen, I never got to meet my hero until he was dead. And they go, "What?" And then I show them the picture, and they go, yeah. And the people who understand geography, when you get to New York, you're not even halfway to going to Seattle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's another journey onto that. So Benny the Jet.
Yeah.
Come on.
So I mean, as I said, I made the trip, and before I was going to America, obviously I wanted to train at specific gyms and do specific things. So I sent a few emails, and the Jess Gym in West Hollywood at the time had messaged me back. Land in LA, first thing to do, put my bags on the thing, I'm like on the phone, ringing the Jess Gym. I was like, "Can I come in the morning? Can I go in the morning?" "Yeah, come down, feel free to go down." So when I first originally went, I didn't take any gear with me, because I didn't want to sort of even though I wanted to train, I didn't want to turn up and go, "I've just walked into the gym," sort of thing. I wanted to, I'm a respectful guy, and I appreciate the fact that they're letting me in there. So I turn up there, and as I turn up to the thing, the guys start interviewing me, the guy behind reception, Cody, and he starts sort of asking me questions, and it felt like a bit of an interview. Anyway, one thing led to another. They took me out back to a shop that Benny owned, kitted me out with t-shirts and pants, then let me a set of gloves, started doing some bag work, at which a lady came up to me. She popped her head through the window, because you used to have a separate bag room. It was a brilliant concept. You used to have this separate bag room just off from the classes. She popped her head in, and it was Benny's wife, Sarah.
Right.
So she just sort of asked me, when you think, I feel like I'm getting interviewed here, getting asked certain questions. Anyway, she watched me for a little bit in the bag. She pops off, comes back 2 minutes later, and she's like, "Hey Lee, Benny's on his way back. Sensei Benny's on his way back. He'd love to meet you." So I'm trying to be that cool, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, great." So as she goes, I'm like, and lo and behold, he come in. I was sat in reception, come in, and we sat down and we spoke for hours. He hugged me as soon as he met me. You know, thanked me for coming to his gym and being a fan. And you know, my dad's hero was Benny the Jet, more so than it was Bruce Lee.
Really?
Yeah. So when I was there, it was really surreal. Anyway, after the conversation, he was just asking me stuff, and I was thinking to myself, I asked him things that I didn't know about. So I listened to him. He's one of these guys that, you know, when you meet proper masters,
yes,
you know yourself, and you don't have to do anything physical with them to learn off him.
Yeah.
He's that type of guy.
Yeah.
So you just sat there and I felt like I was in the Matrix, and someone was like plugging this thing into me, and he was talking, and a lot of things started making a lot more sense to me. As soon as we finished the conversation, a guy from reception comes over and gives me this piece of paper with an address on, and he's like, be here in the morning for 9 o'clock. So I'm like, I'm not asking questions, it's Benny the Jet. So I was like, okay, thank you very much. Anyway, so I'll get up the next morning, shower, go down to Santa Monica and Fairfax. Next thing I'm in the Lee Strasberg.
You're in the Lee Strasberg.
So,
and had you mentioned you wanted to be an actor?
No, I hadn't said anything. So until that point, if I'm honest, I'd never even
thought about it.
Really thought.
So you dream about it?
Yeah, right? It was a dream, and obviously wanting to be Bruce Lee. Growing up as a kid,
I always wanted to be Ralph Macchio. I've said this before. Yeah. Regular listeners, regular viewers, sorry, different format. Regular viewers, you know the score. I always looked at Mr. Miyagi because Mr. Miyagi was like the ultimate wingman.
Yeah.
You know, when you look back on it now, you know, it was like, you go see Mr. Miyagi, he's not there, and he's a lousy drunk.
Yeah.
He's only got drunk that time, shouting Banzai. But ultimate wingman, like, because he straightened everything out. So that for me was like the ultimate master. Yeah. But no, acting wise, Lee Strasberg.
Yeah, I mean, the minute I went in, you go in and there's like pictures of dusting off, man, and it sort of like took me a while to actually realise where I was. And then Benny turns up and he's like, right, come on. So we go through. I didn't actually think I was going to be doing anything. I just thought he brought me down. He asked me to bring me back, but you still think, you know. So I went in, and as we go in, I think, if I remember rightly, it was Spider-Man 3, you know, the Sam Raimi.
Yeah, it was that. Yeah.
Well, this stunt team comes in, and it was the guys who worked on Spider-Man 3, because Benny worked on. He was in the first Spider-Man stuff. So these guys who come in and were doing the thing, doing the training stuff was. So I'm sitting there and I'm just like thinking to myself, you know, what am I doing? You know, here. You know when you feel really out your depth and you don't know what's going on. Anyway, you know, he gets me up, introduces me, bigs me up in front of everyone. Oh, this is Lee from England. He's come over. He's this champion. He's that champion. I hadn't won a world title at that time. He's this champion. He's that champion. I was thinking, I feel pressure here.
I can't phone it in now. Yeah.
And then next thing he's like, right, you start off and we were doing cartwheels and we were doing flips, and then he was teaching us how to punch, and any fighters or martial artists that go into the film industry, everything that you've been taught, throw out the window. Totally throw out the window. You know, everything's big, long. I'm in there and I'm like, get my hooks really tight. He's like, doesn't sell.
Yeah, you know, John Wayne's Quiet Man Time, right?
Yeah.
From back here.
Quiet Man.
Now that's the best fight scene. Do you know what? Just for 1 minute, Benny the Jet, Roadhouse.
Yeah.
I still think that's one of the best ass kickings of all time. Yeah. But anyway, back to Lee Strasberg. Sorry, I had to get in there before I forgot it.
So we were just there, and I remember the first. It was like we were there and we were doing everything. Anyway, the first time he put me in front of the camera, so we basically how it was they were teaching you to sort of self choreograph to get you used to being in front of the camera.
Yes.
But as well as self choreograph at the time, you were given a script. So they give me this script, and they were like, right, so you're this character. I'd never picked this script up before. Never knew how to learn the lines. You had like 10-15 minutes to learn your lines.
Wow.
You know, you're in Lee Strasberg, you're under pressure. Then you've got to put the piece of choreography together that you're doing. So anyway, so I'm sitting there and I'm reading the script. And you know, when you start reading it, and I was like, this is Steven Seagal out for Justice.
How good's that?
And that was the first script.
And obviously you'd seen that once or twice. I mean, Steven Seagal, I can do Casey Ryback.
Yeah.
I can do Casey Ryback, Forrest Taft. Yeah. If you don't know what we're on about, you shouldn't be watching this TV show. Nico. And Mason Storm.
Oh yeah, Mason
Storm. Yeah. I tell you what.
Anything after that?
I tell you what. It's like Star Trek. Anything before The Next Generation and anything after Deep Space Nine, I don't acknowledge.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist in my eyes. So, from Lee Strasberg, what happens then?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I work with Benny, and you know, we were over there. We were doing PTs together, and we were doing different things. You know, I got to meet some people that I didn't. You know, you could only dream of meeting. You know, I remember, you know, I was in his gym in West Hollywood. And he'd asked me to come in and stuff, and I come in, and Scott Weiland was training Velvet Revolver.
R.I.P.
So it was, you know, it was just surreal. I mean, the worst thing was Scott Weiland comes in. I had the Velvet Revolver t-shirts in my suitcase back at the hotel.
Really?
I swear to God.
Did you wear it the next day?
Yeah, of course I did. But I remember him coming in, and I mean, I was told he was coming in. But he was, you know, he's a little bit late.
Well, you see, this is the thing, right? We're just going to go in, because most people will talk about their heroes, but then certain people will have the tattoos of their hero. I'm loving Jim Morrison as well.
My legs are testament to Jackie, Jet, and Bruce. So, well, you know, it's funny because when I was a kid, I never wanted a tattoo.
Really?
Yeah, I never ever wanted a tattoo. But being around Benny, and obviously his wife Sarah's she's a medicine woman. She's one of the last tribes, Native American tribes, obviously left in the States and stuff. And he just told me a few things in terms of like the Indian way and their beliefs and stuff.
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, and everything about Indians, they say the only thing that you take to your grave when you pass away is obviously your soul goes with you, and your tattoos. That's why Indians were covered in tattoos.
Then you're going to take it.
Yeah.
You see, Jeff Thompson told me about Benny's wife, because he was like, if it was anyone else, you'd be like, no, this is flaky. But it was like, she was on the money. She'll meet you and then be able to tell you stuff about you that no one would know.
Yeah, she's a phenomenal lady. I mean, the both of them, obviously from when I met them, I wouldn't say it was sort of like lost to where I wanted to go, but you know, they just give me this direction in terms of who I wanted to be and where.
Pretty good direction, isn't it?
Yeah. So I mean, I finished in LA with Benny, and at the end of it, he turned around to me and he said, he was like, Lee, you know, you're one of my stunt guys now, you know, for Benny the Jets team. Wow. And I was thinking, and I thought to myself, it's really nice of him saying that. You know, he doesn't have to say that, and he's made me feel good before I go away. But then I thought, you know, nothing's going to happen, sort of thing. And then he asked me to be his sort of like his ambassador for the UK and Europe and stuff like that.
Yes.
So if anyone wants to get in touch with him, they went through me, sort of thing. And I thought that was, you know. So anyway, so I go away, finish the rest of my trip, come home, and I'm just like, I'm on a high from this trip. You know, I'm bouncing around everywhere, and you know, I'm thinking to myself, and then I'm in the house, and the girl I was living with at the time, the phone went. The girl I was living with, she's like, Benny's on the phone. It's like, Benny who? She's like, Benny the Jets. I was like, what? So I'm like dancing to the phone. Yeah. I'm like, Benny's on the phone, Benny's on the phone. So then it's like, right, be cool. I was like, hello? So I was like, Sensei, because Benny says, anyone that doesn't know him calls him Benny. Anyone that knows him calls him Sensei.
John Will and Danny Santo, both. Because Guru Dan always says, Sensei Benny, Eric Paulson again.
Yeah.
And it was, I remember the first time they said it, and I thought about the title, and I've heard this before.
He said, people that don't know him call him Benny. People that know him
call him
Sensei.
Yeah.
So, and I understand. So I was on the phone, and he's just like, and he said to me, he was like, blah 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 blah. He's like, what are you doing, like next month? And I was like, well, apart from work and stuff, I said, you know, I haven't really, you know, got that much on. But do you think you get some time off and do this, that, and the other? I was like, yeah, why? He goes, he said, I'm bringing you in on this movie that we're doing down in London, John Cusack movie. He said you can come on and you can do the training with me and do some sparring with Mr. Cusack and come on set, and that was it. That was it.
What movie was that?
That was 1408, Samuel L. Jackson.
Right. Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. I tell you what, I love John Cusack. I loved him in Grosse Pointe Blank.
Yeah, Grosse Pointe Blank.
But I liked him in The Grifters. I like him. Guilty pleasure time.
Say Hot Tub Time Machine.
Love it.
Yeah.
Oh no, is it me who's going to have to say that? Guys
only for the brilliant Chevy Chase cameo. But the Hot Tub Time Machine was a step back in time to classic 80s movie. It had everything 80s about that movie.
But do you know what? This is going to lead me into something, right? Because we talked about the Expendables, right? Before. It had everything because it captured the zeitgeist of when we wanted heroes, you knew what a hero was.
Yeah.
80s action got hammered, and I really liked the way that the Expendables did it. There was enough respect, but then enough tongue in cheek.
Yeah,
at the same time. But that was when you knew, being a man wasn't having waxy moustaches and a V-neck T-shirt. It was, it wasn't hipster time.
I mean, personally, being in the industry now and stuff, I don't think you'll ever create that genre ever again. Like the 80s was a really, really special genre for action movies. Even the B movies that we had. I mean, we were so lucky. We grew up with King of the Kickboxers. You had your No Retreat, No Surrenders.
King of the Kickboxers.
Chan O'Brien. But then
Jim Carter.
Yeah, Jim Carter. But then we had Hong Kong at its peak. Jackie Chan, Yun Biao, Sammo Hung. When you were growing up, watching these guys on telly, on your video, and you were there all the time, and then you were going off trying to climb lampposts like Jackie Chan and
exactly
falling off. I just don't think you'll ever recreate that, because whether it was a B movie or whether it was your Hollywood blockbuster movie, your Stallones or your Arnie's, they sort of all had that same thing that just kept you hooked.
Yeah.
And you didn't mind how bad it was, because it was still brilliant.
But I was saying earlier today to a couple of guys over lunch, I'm praying for the day that we can we need to reanimate the corpse of Don Simpson and get Simpson and Bruckheimer back, because those high concept movies.
Yeah.
Like the only thing that I have found, I've got to ask you this: have you watched Top Gun recently?
I have.
The volleyball scene. It didn't seem like that when I watched it.
No, not at all. And the song.
Well, yeah, the song, it's like, I'll tell you one thing though, if you look at the difference between Tom Cruise and Kelly McGillis now, man, I'll tell you something. I don't know about that going clear with the Scientology, man, but he's looking good. And, Kelly's not looking that great anymore. No. So, what movies have you worked on?
I'm currently on a project with Pierce Brosnan and Dave Bautista called Final Score, which also has proper kid moment for me. Ray Stevenson, who played the Punisher.
The
Punisher.
The Punisher meets the Punisher.
Yeah.
Pierce Brosnan comes from the next county along from me in Ireland, right? In Navan. Awesome. I still think, Daniel Craig, for me, Sean Connery, then Pierce Brosnan. They're my bonds. What's yours?
Sean.
Sean,
and Sean.
Sean,
Sorry,
yeah. Well, I tell you what, Sean Connery, again, it's like the 80s action thing we talked about. He was nearer to what Ian Fleming, I think, wanted. Because, he certainly didn't want Lazenby, and he certainly didn't want Roger Moore.
Yeah. I thought Lazenby did a good job, though, I know we got Slater, but...
Yeah, but come on, he got married. Pimps don't fall in love, baby. Neither do secret agents. That's the truth, though, isn't it? Yeah. I was looking at it, I was going, no way. I tell you what, I am going to shatter your illusion, though. But never say never again.
Yeah.
That was when Connery came back with the wig, right? And they did that one out of canon and came back in. that wasn't his finest moment, was it?
I know.
That's up with Zardos as well. Did you ever see that movie?
Which, sorry?
You ever seen Zardos?
No.
Oh, it's brutal. It's Sean Connery. I'll get you on DVD. So Ray Stevenson.
Yeah, just, you know, I think I always say the same thing when I'm there, and like, I'm a massive fan, I'm a massive geek, you know, I love my comics, I love my films, you know, and to be doing what I do, it's like every time I step on set, and you sort of like try and hold it in and stuff, but I come away and I'm just like, I'm just some kid that grew up on a council estate in Rockferry, and it's sort of like, how did I end up here? And do you know what? It was. I always say it was just luck, and everyone's like, and people have said to me in the past, it's not luck. You've gone out and worked hard at a set of skills. Someone sort of like recognised them set of skills, and they want to utilise them skills. And you know, I have a look. I've got a certain look that sort of people
lends itself well.
Yeah, people seem to like it at the moment. You know, I've done 10. I think I'm close to 10 projects finishing this year.
And what's your favourite one so far that you've done? I know they'll all, because every single one's going to be cool, right?
Yeah, I mean, Noel Clark's a good friend of mine. You know, I met Noel when we did I Am Soul.
You see, I saw that because I know Noel Clark from, you know, Doctor Who.
Doctor Who, yeah.
And then I also know from the Kidulthood stuff. Yeah, I know he's a...
I did Brotherhood. I was in Brotherhood.
No way!
Yeah.
I didn't know that!
Yeah. So brilliant, yeah.
What's he like to work? Because he's like, I mean, edge, right?
Yeah, Noel's, you know, I love Noel. I mean, Noel met on I Am Soldier. We hit it off straight away. He was playing an SAS guy. I was playing Petrovic, the baddie who was going to blow up London. And we sort of like, we just met and we just hit it off. And he sort of like semi-auditioned me there and then, and said he was going to put me in his next film. And I you know,
a Benny the Jet moment again.
Yeah. I was just like, yeah, and he took my number and everything else. But sure enough, he phoned me up, and you know, there was a film called The Anomaly, and then he sent the script obviously off to whoever it was that was doing it. I think it was Universal at the time. Flew out to LA and stuff, and then they come back to him and said, you know, this character who I was meant to play, we need someone that's recognisable on both sides of the Atlantic. You know, so as people in America would recognise him as well as people in England. So I was on the phone, so he phoned me from LA, and I was just like, mate, I said, the fact that you've even considered me for the part, I'm really humbled. And he was like, no, leave it with me. He phones me up and he's like, right, I've wrote it again, and I've wrote you a part in the script.
Wow.
So, and basically, Michael Bisping played the character that I was going to play, and I played his right-hand man. But, you know, scene for scene, we're in the same scene together. You know,
Mike's in he's in Triple X.
Triple X, yeah.
Redux or something it's called,
Well, I mean, that cast, you got Michael Bisping, Donnie Yen, Tony Jaa. You know, I'm excited for that.
But again, it's like Mike. I met Mike Bisping. First time I ever met him, it was when Cage Warriors, which we've never talked about, but a friend of mine used to actually, he was one of the promoters. He's actually at Her Majesty's Pleasure at the moment. And I can't mention him by name, but he was, first time, my first ever class in karate, he was with me. And he's one of these guys that he's just one of those really, really lovable guys. But he's, you know in Goodfellas, you know, when Henry Hill, you know, when Ray Liotta's character says about...
You're a funny guy.
No, not funny how? Like a fucking comedian? No, funny how? No, when he's on about Al Pacino's character, not Al Pacino, De Niro's character, and he says, you know, in the movies, he's a guy who cheats for the bad guy, right? And that is literally what my friend was like. My friend was like a multi-millionaire and still used to go shoplifting, and he rang me up. Like, honestly, he was great. And he rang me up and he said, you're still into all that martial arts? And I went, yeah. He goes, I've got this side project at the moment. It's called Cage Warriors. And I was like, yeah, I've heard of it. He goes, do you want to come up? Because I've got a friend of mine I introduced you. So he introduced me to Mike Bisping. And Mike's like that going, literally, it was that moment where he was like, you're actually one of the only normal people I've met in the last 6 months. But like, for where he's gone now.
I love Mike.
Bang on, huh?
Yeah, me and Mike met on the Anomaly. I'd met him previously a few years before, but obviously it was just like a passing thing. And since then we've just become really tight. He's a really good friend of mine. We were out in Manchester when he come up and he had his belt up there, and And I probably speak to Mike every week.
Really?
Yeah. So
do you know what? Again, another, when you were talking about the acting.
Yeah.
When you talked about the acting and you said I was lucky, and people say this about Bisping as well, but Mike's been around forever, and he's still the most successful guy in the UFC when it comes to wins.
I said to Mike, he's had the hardest run to get a belt. Like you would not believe.
Everything's in his way.
The hardest run. You know, he took that fight with Rockhold, and what was it, 14, 16 days notice, whatever it was. He was on a film set in Toronto, working on Triple X at the time. So his training wouldn't have been.
It wouldn't have been a fight camp.
You know, and it's just like, do you know what though? I mean, you know, I love the guy. I do. To go on to do what he's done, there's a lot of haters out there that people just don't get him. But
what have you got there? Isn't there a tattoo that can sum that right
Oh
up?
yeah, everybody pities the weak, jealousy you have to earn.
Exactly, but it is the truth. The jealousy you have to earn.
You know, he's had the hardest run. He's never shied away from anyone.
No.
So if there was a fight put in front of him, there's your fight. That's who he wanted to fight. He fought them, win, lose, draw, whatever. You know, he got hit with the most vicious knockout in UFC history. You know,
Hendo afterwards was bad enough.
That's a career finishing knockout. You know, there's a lot of guys that wouldn't come back and wouldn't revive the career after that.
And you wouldn't fault them either. Yeah. So Bisping got hit he was hit by a car.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've said it time and time again. Career finishing knockout. You know, a lot of people don't come back and things. You know, look at Nas when he fought Wirral and stuff like that. And you know, when people take a hit like that and it's that severe and stuff, and not only that, every time there's something on about the UFC that gets shown. You go onto the internet, that gets shown.
Always.
And it's sort of like, and for a lot of people it would stick in your head. Mike's overcome that. He's totally smashed that. He's overcome it. He's fought everyone that's been put in front of him. You know, the war he had against Silva.
What? Yeah, and you know, he was going up against Anderson Silva, where people were like, he shouldn't even be in the same auditorium as him. Cage? Come on.
Yeah.
Not in the same. But again, he proved it. You know, Silva was human.
Yeah. I mean, I remember that day when he fought Rockhold, and I'm you know, I do. You know, I love the guy. There's no comments about what I do. And the day before Rockhold, I was downstairs and I was going on holiday that day. So me missus and kids and stuff, we were going on holiday in the morning. So I got up early and I'm sitting there, and I'd been up since like 2 o'clock waiting for the fight. I wish, because the kids wake up early anyway. Yes. She comes down and she's like, "So you got it," you know. And we sat there, and I said to Mike when I seen him last, and when he won that, right, I actually cried.
I was made up for him,
but I cried because I know how much it means to him, and I know how hard he works, you know. And it's just like he's sort of like, he's always been there, you know, in terms of like, he's the first UK fighter to hold a UFC belt. You know, UK fighter. Everyone thinks Conor McGregor's from the UK. Isn't
well, that's a geographical thing.
Yeah,
right?
it is.
They don't understand that.
Yeah, they don't. But you know, he's the first. You know, he's got the most. I think it's knockouts in the weight category. Most hits. Most
wins.
Yeah,
most significant strikes.
Yeah,
everything.
It's just like, you know, but then people will still try and diss him.
And you're like that. What does this guy need to do for you to like him?
Yeah.
It was like, you know, Dan Hardy. When I interviewed Dan, I was talking to Dan about it, and Dan said a lot of people are knocking Mike because they're saying he's too Americanized now, and it's but he lives there. What are you going to do? These are the same sort of guys. What made me smile, it was like, I've heard a few people say this about Mike, and I'm like, but you're the same guy who cries about an Indian guy wearing a turban. You live in this country, you should be English, and you're like, but you don't like, but that's where his future lies, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's where his family's over there. Do you know what I mean? That's where he's bringing his family up. He lives there with his family. You know, that's where his life is now. So it's like, you know, he's not Americanized because he loves where he comes from.
Yeah.
He loves where he comes from. You know, people that know him or have seen stuff, you know, they know what he's about.
He'll turn around and say, look, I'm from Clitheroe, but you guys don't understand what that is.
Manchester. Yeah,
exactly. I said Liverpool once.
Well, I say that though. I'm from the Wirral. Where's that? Liverpool.
Yeah. That'll do. Yeah, that's a different breed apart. Right? A different breed apart. So, are you going to be one of these Liverpudlians, right, like Cilla Black, who moves out and then goes on about how much they love Liverpool and never go back? Or are you going to be like Ringo Starr, who said, listen, I'm in LA. Yeah. Have you ever been in Old Swan? You ever been in Old Swan in December? It's not great. Now, would you move to LA full time? That's.
I mean, if the option ever come there, I mean, obviously I've got my little boy now and stuff, so we're going to take all that into consideration. But yeah, I mean, if the opportunities are there, I was going to move to London a few years ago, and then it sort of like never materialised through different things. But I still get the work, the work still comes in, everything's there, I spend half my time down in London.
It's not hard to commute down, is it?
2 hours on the train now. But in terms of the American thing and stuff, if an opportunity like that come up, everyone strives, and I don't care what anyone says, everyone strives to live the dream.
Yeah,
everyone has a dream and everyone wants to live it. The only problem is that in this country, as soon as you start living your dream, everyone wants to rip you apart.
Well, this is the thing. Yeah, I get this. Yeah, I get it. Why are you doing that? And I said, because no one else is.
Yeah.
Do you think you're any good? No, I don't think I'm any good. I know I'm very good. I'm very good at being Mick Tully.
Yeah.
But do you know what? Thank God there's only one of us. But it's that quote where most men lead lives of quiet desperation, and I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
And there's no shelf life on dreams. That's what people don't understand.
Yeah. Well, I mean, do you know what? I mean, I've worked on productions where I haven't been able to, because sometimes you have to sort of put your own hotel up and then you have to refund it and stuff like this. But you've got to do what's necessary. If I haven't had the money, I've slept in my car. I've slept in my car for 3 days in a lay-by to work on the film, to do what I need to do.
Yeah, but you see, again, this is paying your dues.
Yeah.
This is what people don't understand. Yeah, sometimes you have, why am I here? Why am I here and you're not? Because I'm prepared to do what you're not prepared to do. Otherwise, there'd be a load of Mick Tully shows on at the moment. And there's no value. If you don't work hard at it, you don't understand. It's like the rich kid being given a Porsche. Me and you get a Porsche, we know how much it costs to buy that Porsche, It's crazy. So, finally, almost, finally, who would you like to work with that you haven't worked with? Bear in mind, I want to work with Ray Stevenson. I want to work with Isaac Serco. Just one scene, that'll do me. But who would you like to work with?
Probably Stallone or Arnie.
Yeah?
So, yeah. I mean, these guys had a tough time through the 80s with everything else, and they're probably two of the most intellectual people around. The mindset of Stallone and Arnie, and it would be like sitting with Guru Dan or sitting with Sensei Benny, and to have that experience of being on set with him. It'd just be them, Jackie Chan, Jet Li, and any of these.
It's crazy you said that. I've had the pleasure of being in the same room. We were supposed to meet Schwarzenegger, guys, one day, and I was with a friend of mine, Liam Richards, for an evening with Stallone. First of all, Stallone and the Bupkis story, where he sells the dog, and then he turns around and he goes, for $5,000, you better be able to act. When he sold the dog?
Yeah.
And Tony Robbins tells that story really well. But that is a guy who had nothing.
Yeah.
And then you look at, Schwarzenegger goes to Hollywood and he goes, I want to be a leading man. And he went, a leading man? You're a freak. And he hit Hollywood when Woody Allen and Dustin Hoffman were sex symbols. And it was like he said, every single thing that he should have had,
Yeah. Do you know? I think it was 1975, 76. And they turned around, when he retired from bodybuilding, or he was about to retire, and they turned around and said to Arnold Schwarzenegger, this is his mindset in 1976. So what are you going to do after bodybuilding? He went, I think I'm going to be an actor, and then I'm going to go into politics.
Wow.
That's exactly what he said.
Well,
40 years ago, that was his mindset.
Well, when we saw him, it was like, I'm going to be the best bodybuilder in the world, and they were like, you live in Austria. We ski here. We don't bodybuild here. And obviously, he proved everybody wrong. Did that, and then with the acting, they were like, Schwarzenegger. No one's ever going to go and see a movie where the guy's name is longer than the title. You need to change your accent. And he was like, no. And he said this story where he said that he was in Times Square, and it was just around the Conan era, And he walked around Times Square, and they worked it out that there was maybe 1 in 5 people recognised him. And he said, in 5 years' time, I won't be able to walk into Times Square because everybody will recognise me. And you just think, yeah, when we saw him, it was literally, this is a guy whose sheer force of will changed the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy. And again, it's like, he's going through some hard times now, you know. At the end of the day, this is a guy who's done all of that. Governor of California. You know,
he totally changed LA around. LA had turned into a bit of a dump and stuff. And he come in as governor, and now it's like a big tourist attraction. Everyone's there. Everyone's back down on the beach.
Seventh largest economy in the world. You know, it's crazy. And it's, you know, everyone knocks him about, you know, the thing with the housewife, but you know, he did all of that. He's turned around and goes, I did all that. Of course I can sleep with my housewife. Come on. You know, I'm a great man. So we've done that last, and this is the last one.
Okay.
What role would you like to play?
Don't know. I'd like to be a good guy for once. So I'm always a bad guy, like a, don't know, some kind of.
You do have that look though.
I know, I do. I'm always Russian. I'm always playing Russian. But I don't know, I'd like to be sort of. I like the action role, you know. I like that stuff, or maybe something a bit more testing in terms of.
Would you ever do Shakespeare? I can see you doing Macbeth, man.
Macbeth. Oh, don't
come
know.
on, man. Macbeth's got balls, man.
Yeah, he has.
I tell ya, this is a dagger I see before me. All mine, I just look like I'm about to have a seizure. That's my problem.
I worked with, not name dropping or nothing, but one of the most incredible guys that I've worked with is Billy Bob Thornton. So,
no way, really?
Legend, absolute legend. Man. And we were working on a movie, and he took us off to the side, and he was telling us like little bits and bobs and different things, and I asked him. I said, you know, what's your favourite thing that you like to do? You know, you're acting, and he loved it. He said, I love indie work, you know, the independent.
Yeah.
So like see Monsters Ball and stuff, because they were all independent movies and stuff. And he said, I love that type of work, that type of stuff. And then he goes, and then he turned around to me and goes, but you know, your big Hollywood movies, they pay your bills and I've got families to look after and stuff. And he goes, and anyway, they only ever cast me as like a policeman or an FBI or something. So
that's it. Well, do you know what the only thing is now with Netflix, man? Yeah. Netflix is changing that whole game. So you never know, you might get the leading man job one day.
Well,
I can see you with Michelle Pfeiffer or
Michelle.
Who'd be the leading lady?
Can I go back into the 80s?
Of course you can.
Demi Moore.
Are we talking about last night, Demi Moore?
Yeah, about last night, Demi Moore. What was the one he did? Was it Steak? No, Steak. What was it called? The one with Mina Westerveld. She did.
St. Elmo's Fire.
No, she did one where the both of them were robbing banks. They were like a little Bonnie and Clyde type thing. Oh, I can't think what it's called. So, about last night, Demi Moore, definitely.
I'll tell you something.
One Crazy Summer. She was in One Crazy Summer. Blame It on Rios.
Yes, I'll tell you something. G.I. Jane, when she got a haircut, I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, I don't know. I started getting confused at that point.
It's Demi Moore.
I was like, it was Demi Moore. Yeah. Bruce Willis, what were you thinking? Hey, do you know what, man?
Thank you.
Continued success.
Thank you
Thanks,
very much.
brother. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Didn't even talk about comics, man.